Hello everyone, my name is Ward Al-Bashtai, and my teammate Mohammed Al and I are going to present to you the mechanics of flight. Every one of us has got the chance to see a flying plane, if not getting into it in a flight to far destinations. We all wondered many times how these planes fly in the free air without having any direct support for their movement like cars, and how they have made the world look smaller. The way all the planes of different kinds and purposes operate is similar and simply covered by physics laws that we all know. Any plane will be originally at a ground level, which requires a force pushing it upward to fly at a specific altitude. This force is called the lift force. The lift force has to oppose the weight force which is exerted naturally by the world on any object due to gravity. The weight of the plane is determined by its mass, so the amount of lift force required to push up any plane depends on its mass. You are wondering now, how this lift force is generated. This force is generated by the forward movement of the plane in the air due to another force called the thrust force. The thrust is the force that pushes the plane forward at a certain speed, which is generated by the motor or engine of the plane depending on the type of the plane. The last force that is acting on the airplane is the drag force that acts in the opposite direction of thrust. This force occurs due to the motion of the airplane through air and changes from one airplane to another as it is varying with the change in velocity and surface area. Different types of planes have different ways to generate the lift and thrust needed to fly to the required altitude and then cruise at it. The two different major types of planes, jet planes, and propeller-driven planes. Lift and thrust are generated in different ways in each one of them. In the jet plane, that uses engines, fuel is supplied to the engine by a fuel tank, and then it burns in a combustion process. This chemical reaction generates an output of the engine, and the engine has to get rid of this output. When the engine throws out the output, here comes Newton's third law that says for every action there is an opposite reaction, so there would be an opposite reaction for these gases getting out. This reaction comes in form of force that pushes the plane forward. The speed required is indicated by the amount of fuel pushed to the engine. In this case, the thrust force forms a speed for the plane. This speed generates the lift force of the plane that enables it to get higher or lower when required. Moreover, the other common form of commercial airplanes used in the past are propeller-powered airplanes. These airplanes have propellers that are shaped the same way wings are to produce lift. But instead of producing lift, it is a vertical force. The propellers provide the lift force in the horizontal direction and is considered in this case a thrust force to move the airplane forward. Finally, there are multiple other components in the plane that help change its direction. For the tip of the plane to go up and down, there are two components at the tail of the plane, called elevators, that control that motion. If they are directed down, a force will try to push them up, and then the tip of the plane will go down, and vice versa. The horizontal direction of the plane is controlled by the rudder also at the tail of the plane that works in the same manner as elevators. And finally, the wings of the plane contain the aileron that helps the plane to rotate as required. Thanks a lot for watching, and we hope that you enjoyed this short presentation.